I have a question for you. What would you do if one of your loved ones suddenly went blind? This is a question that, for one, I never thought anyone would ask me. And two, I wouldn't ever know that I would have had an answer. Quick disclaimer on this video. Every person is different. Therefore, every person who's blind is different. You can't just clump every blind person together and have all their experiences be the same. This video is about my experience with my mom going blind. I've been watching YouTuber Molly Burke for a couple years now. She is a YouTuber who does amazing things, and she's blind. I was really inspired by her videos, and I thought about making this video for a long time, but to be honest, I was really scared, and I still am for a lot of reasons. So this is definitely inspired by her, and I'm thankful for her voice to kind of, I think, give other people a little courage. In 2015, my mom could see.
It's the wrong one. I love how shiny. Somebody has to clean these every day.
There's my parents.
Okay, you do it that way. It was an hour.
No, 10 minutes.
No, it wasn't 10 minutes.
An hour.
Yes, but you were there an hour.
My mom could walk.
There's my mom standing, hopefully getting the keys.
My mom used to drive me to auditions. Other than being a diabetic, she was fine. I'm not going to go into everything specifically about her health struggles for the sake of some of her own privacy, but I do want to express what my experience was like through some of these things on my end. 2016, we find out that she has cancer. Cancer and chemo led to a bunch of complications. Specifically, we started to notice that she was developing a little bit of night blindness, where people have a harder time seeing at night. I remember at one point we were on a road trip and she was driving in the grass, and we were like, "Mom, you're not on the road anymore." And she was like, "I'm not." That was the first time we realized that anything was wrong. From there was many eye appointments, many injections, many surgeries, many bad doctors. After the night blindness, her vision issues became where she started to only be able to see kind of, people became like blurry shadows to her, and she could see bits of light. Every time she would have a surgery, the doctors would tell her that her vision would get worse for a couple weeks post the surgery for the healing, and then it would get better. However, we found after every single surgery, her vision would get worse, and it would never get better. It would never come back to the way it was prior to the surgery. As far as I'm aware, I was going with her to a lot of these doctor's appointments, so I saw a lot of what was being communicated to her. I didn't go to all of them, but as far as I'm aware, all the doctors, not a single one said, "Hey, you're gonna go blind," or "There's, a strong possibility you are going to lose your sight permanently." Nobody prepared us. Her vision got so bad to the point where she had pretty much lost most of her vision in one eye, but in the other eye, she had like what she described as like a small pocket of a little bit of vision where she could kind of see light or shadows move past it. So she was still able to make out something.
Okay, cover your eye. Okay, find the finger. Do you see it?
No, because the background is not, okay, like, the background has to be, yeah. No, that's not helping. No, I'm using the window.
The window?
Because if you go like this and I look at
Okay,
the window.
so looking at the window?
Okay. I see it right there. Here. I can only see, and it's only when I catch it. Okay, I see your hand. And I see your face. I see your face. I mean, not your face, but like I know where you are. I can see you.
That's good.
Every now and then. But sometimes I can't see it at all. in the morning, I can't see anything.
Then in January of 2020, she took a nap. I was still living with them at the time. And when she woke up from her nap, I could hear her because she had just this intense concern in her voice. And I came out and was like, what's going on? And she was just saying, I can't see anything. It's completely dark. That was a really hard day. From there was a lot of ups and downs of, is this forever? Is anything gonna come back? Because again, no one really prepared us or told us what to expect. Except for, oh, your vision will get better. It'll get better, we promise. What's interesting about my life at the time was right before she lost her vision completely, I had just finished a film that I was doing for a Yale student at the time where I played the lead role of a young woman who had recently gone blind. So the film picks up when she's only been blind for about 3 months. I got to work with amazing people at the Lighthouse for the Blind who taught me a lot about blindness. I got to practice with blind goggles and canes, and since she was only 3 months blind, we had kind of gotten to the point where we're like, okay, like she probably wouldn't use the cane correctly, you know, she probably wouldn't be completely accustomed to her house, pretty accustomed, but obviously just not accustomed completely to being blind. It was a really interesting experience to film that. Well, we had just finished the film, and I got to show my mom the film when she had just a tiny bit of vision, so she got to see it. And then shortly after that is when she went completely blind. So that was the last film of mine that my mom ever got to see. Obviously, when it comes to the loss of sight, there is just grief for the person. It's an incredible loss. I think especially when you've had it your entire life and then suddenly it's gone. I am not trying to minimize anyone else's, like if you're blind your whole life or if you went blind young. I'm not trying to minimize the struggles of that. I just know for my mom specifically, it's really difficult adjusting to that. But after a while, after about a year or two, when you sort of catch up on your loved one's grief, you start to realize that you have your own. And at first it feels wrong to have like a grief when the other person, what they're going through is like much worse. But for me, the grief was the loss of who my mom used to be. Someone who could drive me places and share funny cat videos with. Someone who I could share what I make in visual media, whether it's film or YouTube videos. And it took me a little bit of time to realize that I had my own grief and that it's okay for that to be there. It doesn't diminish her grief. It's just in parallel. Music is something literally before I could even talk, I would be singing with my mom in the living room, singing Barney and songs from Sunday school. And music for me was always involved with my mom because every time I went to a singing competition or performed somewhere, sang at a wedding or a baseball game or a football game or a funeral, my mom would always come with me and was always supporting my music journey. When I got into my 20s, I kind of dove headfirst into the acting world, and that kind of took all my time. So I kind of stopped pursuing music as much and stopped really believing that it was an avenue for me in the first place. But in mid-2020, realizing that I could no longer share my movies with my mom, but having that desire to share what I create with her, I started to pursue music again. And I got my first 2 songs produced with an amazing producer in Nashville. It's not like I'm already having a hard time, but if you could see when all alone, hey, you have got no place to go. And I was able to play the songs for her.
It was so fun.
Now, here's her reaction to the pop song Gray. She doesn't like that one as much.
Very good. I like the other one better. Like a haunted house type feel.
It felt like a haunted house.
No, like, you know, you're...
And it was the exact same experience as someone who can see. Like, being able to just listen to a song, just the song itself, is the same experience whether you can see or whether you can't. And it was something that I could share with her that we're all on equal ground about. Since then, I haven't stopped. I even share with her my ridiculous songs that I make on my main channel because Becca about YouTubers that she knows nothing about, and she's always just like, oh, that's nice, or she'll just straight up tell me, I don't really like it because it's not my taste. To shift gears in this video a little bit, I kind of want to share a little bit of what I have learned. One of the first things I learned was it is totally okay to say, see you later, or what are you watching? She uses all the same lingo as she did before, and she doesn't expect you to walk in and if she's watching TV to be like, what are you listening to? It's just more natural. I feel like saying, what are you listening to is just like a reminder of like, hey, you're blind. Food. My mom is highly immobile. She is unable to walk very well because she's got damaged knees from getting hit by a drunk driver. One thing that changed was she is uncomfortable eating from plates. So she always eats from deep bowls. So she always feels like she has a little wiggle room for stuff to sort of hit the sides versus just falling off a plate. Second of all, when I go and I hand her her food, I tap her hand with the fork so she knows where the fork is. And I usually tell her like there's steak towards the front and potatoes in the back. And to the left is, to her left, or whatever, is a little bit of, peas or something like that. And I let her know what is on her plate and where, so that way she is not, just blindly stabbing away. Clothing. I don't do this all the time, but sometimes, especially when I get a new piece of clothing, I will tell her, hey, I got this new jacket. It's got black on the top and pink on the bottom and a little bit of white stripe in the middle. It's very light, good for Florida, and sometimes I will put it out for her and let her feel the texture. And she was always such a visual person. She was an interior designer, so she's pretty good at like picking up colors and stuff like that. I don't know if that will last forever, but she still has a pretty good memory of color. I know for some people that fades and other people it doesn't. Another thing about clothes is her own clothes. She likes to wear a lot of clothes that have some sort of like texture or textile kind of thing at the front, so she knows what shirt it is. And just being able to have shirts that are different in feeling helps her to be able to know what she's picking up and also where the front of the shirt is and how to put it on. Stuff. Don't move her stuff unless you're gonna put it back exactly where it was. We've had caregivers come in before who move all her stuff, and now it's like she can't function in her daily things that she does because she doesn't know where anything is. So it's really important that if you are with a blind person, I think this probably can go for most of them, maybe not, but if they have things, don't move them unless you are going to put them back exactly where they were. Guide dogs and canes are wonderful. However, my mom is immobile, so she is not able to get a guide dog. So with that in mind, you have to make sure the house is arranged a certain way in order that she can get around it. I remember spending like a whole day just rearranging all the furniture so that way she had pathways that she could go down by just feeling the wall and getting to places that she needed to be without running into anything. And it's really important that those paths are always clear in the house, because if there's something all of a sudden placed there, like a chair or something's on the floor, she's not gonna know it and she's going to hit it, and it's gonna either confuse her or potentially put her into injury if she trips on it or falls from it. Put her into injury. That's a weird sentence. You know what I mean. When I first arranged the house with all the clear paths and the walls to follow, I actually closed my eyes and did all the paths so that way I could make sure that it worked. When people come into the house, it's really important that you announce your presence and you say, hey, it's me. I'm here because of XYZ. You can't just like walk in and assume she knows who's in the house. As well as before touching her, letting her know that you're coming in close, that you're gonna touch her, or whatever it is you're doing. Even when it just comes to like goodbye hugs, be like, hey, all right, I'm gonna give you a little hug, or something like that. Sometimes I give her just a like very gentle like tap on the arm so she knows that I'm coming in for a hug. And she's kind of used to that because she can also hear that my voice is very close. I often find that people talk to me, like, for example, if someone comes into house, like a physical therapist or something like that, often people will start talking to me and not to my mom, People will often ask like me questions about her, but she's sitting right there. Just ask her. Like, there's nothing wrong with her other than the fact that she just can't see you. This isn't everything, but I'm hoping that it's helpful to someone. This is just a one-off video. I probably won't make anything like this again. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Because Becca, and I made this video because, well, I wanted to. That's all, because it's over. Bye.
Come and save me.